The stars shimmered across the viewing glass of the diplomatic hall aboard Station Helios, humanity's first true intergalactic meeting ground. Built from titanium, glass, and stubborn human pride, it floated between systems like a silent ambassador of Earth. Every major species in the known galaxy had sent representatives for the Helios Summit, a rare event meant to decide who would lead the exploration of the new uncharted sectors. For the humans, this was a chance to prove they deserved a place among the elder races, those who had looked down on them as primitive newcomers for over a century. At the center of the human delegation stood Ambassador Mara Vance. She was calm, tall, and composed, wearing a simple white diplomatic uniform. There were no golden threads, no heavy metals, just clean lines and quiet confidence. To the alien observers, she looked plain compared to their jeweled robes and glowing armor. But her eyes, sharp, steady, and endlessly human, carried a weight that turned attention when she entered the room. The summit chamber was vast, circular, and cold. Representatives from dozens of species filled the tiers. Reptilian generals from the Dravak Empire, crystalline diplomats from Etherion, and the massive insectoid Thrix, who clicked and buzzed among themselves. At the top of the platform sat High Chancellor Zoreth of the Etherian Collective, translucent, luminous, and old beyond measure. When Mara entered, the murmurs began. "She comes without armor?" hissed a Dravak. "She brings no entourage," said another. "Humans, always underdressed," buzzed a Thrix delegate in its clicking language. Mara ignored them all. She walked to the center of the hall, her boots echoing softly against the polished metal floor. Behind her, the banner of Earth shimmered, blue and green with a silver star at its heart. The Chancellor's voice rippled through the hall like a song made of light. "Representative Vance of Sol, you have come to request leadership in the uncharted sectors. What claim does your young species have when so many others have already shed blood in their discovery?" The question was sharp and almost mocking. Mara raised her chin. "Because we are the only ones willing to go where others fear to look," she said simply. A low murmur rolled through the chamber. The Chancellor's light dimmed slightly. "And what gives you such courage, little species? Your world is small, your history short. You have been almost destroyed more than once." Mara smiled faintly. "Yes, and every time we rebuilt." Across the chamber, Captain Reen of the Dravak Empire leaned forward. His scales glowed crimson under the light. "Words," he growled. "We all speak of courage. What proof does your kind have that it is more than empty noise?" Mara turned toward him slowly. Her calm never broke. "Proof?" she said. "You want proof?" Then she did something no one expected. She reached up and removed the outer layer of her uniform, a ceremonial robe meant to make her look more formal by alien standards. Beneath it was the plain, battle-worn flight suit of an old Terran pilot. There were scuffs on the shoulders, faded symbols of forgotten units, one patch still showing the burning Earth overlaid with wings. Gasps echoed around the room. "She dares to remove her robe in the Chancellor's presence," hissed a Thrix in alarm. But Mara didn't flinch. She stood tall in the plain suit, her Earth emblem catching the white light. "You wanted to see what humanity is, Captain. This is us, not gold, not jewels. Just people who work, fight, bleed, and keep moving forward." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Mara looked straight into the Chancellor's glowing eyes. "You asked what gives us courage," she said. "It's not our weapons, not our ships. It's the fact that we know fear, and go anyway." The Chancellor regarded her for several silent seconds. His crystalline surface pulsed faintly with thought. "You would expose your frailty as strength?" "Yes," Mara said. "Because pretending to be more than we are is a lie. Humanity has no illusions. We own our failures, our pain, our mistakes, and that's why we'll survive the unknown." From the human section, murmurs of quiet pride rippled. Commander Zhao clenched his fist in silent approval. Even the alien delegates shifted uncomfortably. Her words had weight, pressing against centuries of arrogance. The Dravak captain gave a short, harsh laugh. "You speak boldly for such a small race, Ambassador." Mara turned her gaze on him. Her expression was calm, but her voice was steel. "Small races grow. Empires fall. What remains are those who refuse to kneel." The captain's scales flickered once, then dimmed. He looked away, The Chancellor's light dimmed further, thoughtful now. Humanity seeks leadership of exploration, he repeated slowly. Yet you bring no fleets, no armies, no tribute. Mara stepped closer to the center light. We bring curiosity, she said. We bring the ability to hope even when the stars seem cold. That's something you've all forgotten. Silence filled the hall. Every species, predator, diplomat, machine con turned their eyes toward the lone human woman standing in the center. She had come without guards, without armor, without pretense, and yet she owned the room. Outside the chamber, deep in the viewing decks, two alien officers whispered to each other. Why do they speak like that? One asked. As if they have already won? Because, the other replied softly, they believe it. Hours later, as the council recessed, Mara stood alone by the viewport, looking out over the stars. The blue light of Earth's distant sun shimmered faintly in her eyes. Commander Zhao approached quietly, his voice low. You made quite an impression, he said. They needed to see who we are, Mara replied. Not the image we pretend to be, he nodded. You think they'll let us lead? She smiled faintly. They'll resist. They always do. But deep down they felt it. The spark. The same thing that built ships from scraps and turned storms into engines. We're not done proving ourselves, Zhao chuckled. You know, when you took off that ceremonial robe, I thought you'd get arrested. Maybe I still will, she said. But for a moment they listened. Far across the galaxy in the Etherian archives, Chancellor Zorth recorded his thoughts. Humans are dangerous, he wrote. Not because of their strength or technology, but because they believe in themselves when logic says they shouldn't. I saw it today. A small creature from a fragile world, standing before empires unafraid. Perhaps that is the real power of their kind. As the station rotated in silence, Mara stood under the stars, her reflection glowing faintly in the glass. For the first time in the long history of the Galactic Council, a human had not begged, not threatened, but stood as an equal. And somewhere deep in her heart, Mara knew this was only the beginning. The corridors of Station Helios hummed with quiet energy. Despite the grand diplomacy hall, much of the station was a maze of steel walkways, observation decks, and maintenance hubs. Mara Vance walked through them with Commander Zhao at her side, her mind racing. The events of the summit still echoed in her memory. She had stood exposed not in shame but in truth, and every eye had felt her confidence. But she knew the galaxy would not give her species a free pass. Courage alone would not win the council. Ambassador, Zhao said, breaking the silence. We've received a message from the council. They want a demonstration of Earth's capabilities in the uncharted sectors. They're skeptical. Words are not enough, Mara nodded. She had expected this. The elder species would always test the new arrivals. Then we'll give them proof, she said. Not to scare them, but to show that humans belong at the table. The council chamber was empty now, but holographic screens illuminated the space, showing star systems and unexplored sectors. Mara placed her hands on the console and studied the map. The sectors were vast, dangerous. Many had never been mapped because they contained unstable stellar phenomena or rogue planetary systems. Zhao, I want the Phoenix ready, she said, naming the human flagship. We'll chart the Vera expanse and return with real data. I want them to see that humanity doesn't just talk, we act. Zhao hesitated. It's dangerous. Those systems have swallowed larger vessels whole, and the council will watch every move. If we fail. We won't fail, Mara interrupted, her voice firm. They will either respect us or underestimate us. Either way, humanity moves forward. The next day the council gathered again. This time the chamber was filled with anticipation. Delegates from dozens of species whispered among themselves, waiting for the humans' first demonstration. Mara stepped forward in her flight suit, Phoenix's schematics glowing on the hologram behind her. We will explore the Vera expanse, she announced, a region previously deemed too unstable for manned ships. Our sensors will map its planets, record stellar activity, and return in 3 standard galactic cycles. A Thrix delegate clicked nervously. You underestimate the danger, it buzzed. Many vessels have vanished there. Mara smiled calmly. Then perhaps it's time someone survives where others have failed. The council chamber was quiet. Even the chancellor seemed intrigued. Mara could feel their skepticism, but also their curiosity. 2 hours later, the Phoenix lifted from the station dock. engines glowing with controlled fury. The human crew, small but disciplined, operated with precision. Mara piloted the ship herself, the hum of the engines beneath her hands reminding her of every mission she had flown on Earth. "This is it," Zhao said from the co-pilot's chair. "The galaxy is watching us." Mara glanced at the viewport. The stars stretched into streaks of light. "Let them watch," she said. "Let them see what humanity can do." The Vera expanse lived up to its reputation immediately. Stellar storms flared unpredictably, ionized gas clouds twisted in deadly arcs, and rogue asteroids drifted without warning. Many ships would have turned back immediately, but the Phoenix cut through the chaos like a silver blade. Mara's hands moved with practiced confidence over the controls. Sensors scanned, recorded, and transmitted data in real time. "We're charting the first accurate map of this sector in galactic history," she said, a quiet pride in her voice. Zhao studied the displays. "They won't expect us to survive this long." "Good," Mara said. "Let them underestimate us. It always works in our favor." Days passed. The crew of the Phoenix faced countless challenges: sudden gravitational anomalies, energy surges from nearby pulsars, and fields of magnetic interference that scrambled navigational systems. Each obstacle tested not only their technology, but their resolve. Mara encouraged the crew with quiet words and steady leadership. "We are human," she reminded them. "We survive because we adapt. We find solutions when others see only danger. Remember why we are here, not for fame, not for fear, but to show that humanity can thrive where others hesitate." Her words had power. The human crew worked tirelessly, coordinating maneuvers, repairing damaged systems mid-flight, and maintaining morale. Every failure was met with determination. Every success with humility. Meanwhile, aboard Station Helios, the Council monitored the Phoenix. Screens showed the ship navigating perilous asteroid belts, slipping through storms and emerging unscathed on the other side. Aliens whispered in disbelief. "She leads them like they're part of her crew, not just machines," a crystalline Etherian diplomat observed. "The human is fearless," a Dravak muttered. "No hesitation. No doubt strange, but effective." Even the Chancellor's glowing surface pulsed in quiet acknowledgement. "They survive," he murmured. "Not through power alone, but through courage and ingenuity. That is remarkable." Back on the Phoenix, Mara encountered the greatest challenge yet, a massive gravity well, unstable and unpredictable, which threatened to pull the ship into a collapsing star. The crew worked in frantic coordination. Shields flickered, engines strained. Mara stayed calm. "Focus on the readings, not the fear," she instructed. "Plot the trajectory. Trust your instincts. Trust each other." Zhao's hands moved over the controls, sweat beading on his forehead. "Ambassador, it's too close." "Not too close," Mara said firmly. "Just close enough to survive, and to prove ourselves." With a final surge, the Phoenix shot free of the gravitational pull. The star flared behind them, dangerous and beautiful, while the ship sailed into safety. The crew erupted in cheers, but Mara only allowed a quiet, satisfied smile. The data transmitted back to the Council was undeniable. The Vera expanse had been mapped accurately. Previously unknown planets, magnetic anomalies, and stellar phenomena were all recorded. Humanity had achieved what others failed to do, and lived to tell the tale. In the Council chamber, delegates whispered frantically. Some were impressed, others annoyed, but all agreed the humans had changed the narrative. The Chancellor spoke, his voice echoing softly. "Representative Vance, humanity has done what no other young species has. You have demonstrated bravery, intelligence, and cooperation. You have proven yourselves capable of more than we imagined." Mara stepped forward, her eyes steady. "We are not asking for recognition. We only ask for the opportunity to continue exploring, learning, and contributing to the galaxy. That is humanity's true strength, our willingness to act even when the odds are against us." The room fell silent. For the first time, no one tried to interrupt. Mara's words carried weight beyond language, a reminder that courage, determination, and honesty could command respect without threat or power. That night, Mara returned to her quarters, exhausted but unbowed. Zhao joined her, holding a steaming cup of synthetic coffee. "You really owned the room today," he said. "Even the Council seems different." "They listened," Mara replied softly. "For the first time, they saw humans as equals, not just survivors." Zhao smiled faintly. Do you think this is enough? Mara looked out the viewport at the swirling stars. No, it's just the beginning. The galaxy is bigger than we imagined, and there will always be tests. But every step we take proves that humanity belongs among the stars. And somewhere, far from the station, the words she had spoken echoed quietly across the galaxy. Courage is not in the weapons you carry, but in the truth you hold. And humanity holds truth like no other. The next morning, the Council issued a formal recognition. Humans were granted lead status for the exploration of the uncharted sectors. It was a small victory in the scope of the galaxy, but monumental for the young species. Mara knew this was only the start. Challenges would grow, enemies would emerge, and not every decision would be applauded. But for the first time, humans had stood as equals. Not as beggars, not as pawns, but as proud, capable, and fearless participants in galactic history. She smiled faintly, thinking of the journey ahead. Humanity had survived the test of the Vera expanse, and the galaxy would never see them the same way again. The recognition from the Council had given humanity a foothold in the galaxy, but Mara Vance knew better than anyone that the real challenge was only beginning. Lead status in exploration meant visibility, responsibility, and scrutiny. Every decision they made would be watched by dozens of species, some curious, some jealous, some hostile. Mara stood on the Phoenix's bridge, watching the swirling light of a newly discovered star system. The crew worked efficiently, yet the tension in the room was palpable. Not because of the unknowns of space, but because the galaxy had learned to doubt humans, and now they had to prove themselves again. "Ambassador," Commander Zhao said, pointing to a blinking alert on the console. "Our sensors are picking up an unusual signature in the system ahead. It's not a natural formation." Mara leaned over the console, studying the readings. It could be anything. Rogue ships, energy anomalies, even a distress signal. "We proceed carefully, but we investigate. Humanity doesn't shrink from what others fear." Zhao nodded. "Understood." As the Phoenix approached the anomaly, it became clear it was a derelict ship, massive and unlike anything humans had seen before. Its hull was scarred, its engines silent, yet faint energy signatures suggested it still held power deep within. The alien species aboard the Council had never mentioned such vessels. Mara knew this meant two things. Either it was extremely old, predating much of recorded galactic history, or it was deliberately hidden. Either way, it was an opportunity. "Prepare an exploration team," Mara ordered. "We go aboard, record everything, and leave no stone unturned. Humanity explores. That is what we do best." The crew suited up, their courage steady even as the Phoenix's scanners detected pockets of radiation and fluctuating gravity fields around the derelict. Mara led them personally, stepping onto the massive hull with her boots gripping tightly as she activated magnetic stabilizers. Inside, the ship was dark, vast, and eerily silent. The corridors were intact, yet signs of struggle were evident: torn panels, scorched floors, and markings that suggested a desperate evacuation. "This is incredible," whispered Lieutenant Aaron, the ship's chief engineer. "Whatever this ship was, it's far beyond anything humans have built." Mara's eyes scanned the control room. "And yet it's abandoned. That tells us something. Advanced civilizations can fall, but knowledge remains. Our job is to recover it." Hours of exploration revealed data cores, star maps, and technological schematics that could accelerate humanity's understanding of the galaxy by decades. But one discovery stood out: a log of a warning. "To any who find this vessel, beware the Shard Collective. They consume knowledge, erase civilizations, and leave nothing behind. Avoid engagement. Survival depends on secrecy." Mara read the message aloud. "Zhao, this could be serious." "The Council never mentioned the Shard Collective." "Because they want to underestimate us," Zhao replied. "Or perhaps they fear panic if we knew." Mara nodded. Humanity had survived countless threats on Earth by being resilient, adaptable, and clever. This would be no different. "We take this to the Council," she said. "We prepare for contact if necessary. Knowledge without action is useless." Back on Station Helios, the Council convened urgently. Mara presented the findings, detailing the derelict ship, the technological discoveries, and the warning of the Shard Collective. Alien delegates reacted with shock and apprehension. "This species, the Shard, has not been engaged in known history," Chancellor Zorith said. If Mara's information is correct, humanity has stumbled upon a threat we were unaware of. It is remarkable that you survived to report it. Mara met his gaze steadily. We survive because we act when others hesitate. Humanity cannot ignore danger, but neither can we be paralyzed by fear. We adapt, we plan, and we protect our people, and the galaxy, by taking the first steps. The council debated fiercely. Many feared the humans had overstepped by engaging unknown phenomena without approval. Some argued to send a larger military force. Others wanted to ignore the warning, hoping the Shard Collective would remain hidden. Mara's voice cut through the tension. We don't have the luxury of waiting. Knowledge is power only if it is used. We can't pretend ignorance and call it safety. Humanity leads not because we want glory, but because we choose to face the unknown, so that others may follow safely. With the Council's tentative approval, Mara and the Phoenix prepared for a reconnaissance mission into the territory hinted at in the derelict's log. The Shard Collective's presence was unknown, their intentions unclear. The Phoenix would not attack. It would observe, record, and report. The journey tested the crew's skill, their courage, and their resolve. Mara led with a calm that inspired confidence. Every maneuver through treacherous asteroid fields, every calculation to avoid energy surges, was met with precise execution. Humanity's ingenuity shone as sensors adapted to unexpected readings. Engines compensated for gravitational shifts, and crew members innovated solutions faster than any Council observer could imagine. When the Phoenix reached the edge of the Shard Collective's territory, Mara ordered the ship to drift silently, cloaked by the shadows of an uncharted nebula. The scans revealed massive structures floating in space, and not ships but enormous constructs, geometric and alien, pulsing with energy that defied known science. Zhao. It's like nothing we've ever seen, said Aaron, awe in his voice. Yes, Mara replied, and it's why humanity must remain vigilant. We face uncertainty, yet we do not retreat. We observe, we learn, and we survive. Hours passed. The Shard constructs moved subtly, almost as if aware of the Phoenix's presence. Mara held the ship steady, her mind calculating every possible contingency. Suddenly, one of the constructs emitted a pulse. Shields flickered. Communications jammed. Crew members tensed. Mara's voice remained steady. Report, she ordered. The pulse. It's scanning, but it hasn't targeted us directly, Zhao replied. Then we continue to observe, but maintain readiness. Humanity survives by being prepared for anything, Mara said. Her calm, measured confidence reassured the crew. They worked with precision, recording data and maintaining control under pressure. This was humanity's moment, a test not of combat, but of intellect, courage, and adaptability. After careful observation, the Phoenix returned to the Council, carrying detailed data on the Shard Collective and potential strategies for avoidance or negotiation. The alien delegates were astonished. You have not only survived, one Thrix delegate clicked, but you have returned with knowledge that could save countless civilizations. Mara nodded. We did what was necessary. Humanity does not flee from the unknown. We understand it and we prepare for it. That is how we thrive. The Council deliberated and, for the first time, voted unanimously to recognize humanity as a strategic leader for galactic safety and exploration. Humans would not just explore. They would coordinate efforts to monitor unknown threats, share knowledge, and ensure the survival of lesser-known species. Mara looked around the Council chamber, her eyes steady. She had not come seeking power or recognition. She had come to ensure that humans, and by extension, all species, and could face the unknown with courage, intelligence, and unity. Days later, Mara stood once more at the station's observation deck, gazing at the stars she had helped map and protect. Zhao joined her, his expression thoughtful. You really did it, he said quietly. No, Mara corrected. We did it. Humanity did it. Every crew member, every engineer, every citizen who dared to believe in exploration and courage, they did it. I just led the way, Zhao smiled. Do you think the galaxy will ever underestimate us again? Mara laughed softly. They will try, but every time they do, we will rise. Humans do not just survive. We face, we adapt, we endure, and we inspire. That is what makes us human. That is why we will always own the room, the galaxy if necessary. As they watched, the stars stretched endlessly into the void, but Mara saw not emptiness. She saw potential, possibility, and the quiet promise of humanity's future among the stars. In the silence of space, one truth had become undeniable. Humanity was not merely another species in the galaxy. Humanity was a force of ingenuity, courage, and unyielding spirit, and the universe had no choice but to recognize it.